Hey, what is going on, everybody? So, it's been a long time since I streamed. I have no idea if all this is working properly. I'm in the middle of moving. But today got weird. I got blocked by Madcatz. And I'm not necessarily proud of it, but hey, it happened. So, as you know, this week I released my most recent episode of Breaking Down the Stick, where I broke down the new Madcatz TE3. And I didn't have a lot of nice things to say about it. But I'd like to think I kept it relatively professional and pretty on point and honest with my assessment of that fight stick. So, yeah, a lot of people aren't happy with it. There's a lot of engagement. It's probably one of my fastest and most engaging videos since, probably maybe the HRAP-N that I did. And a lot of people are sharing it, giving it to their friends, etc., saying, hey, take a look at this breakdown before you buy it. Some people are happy that they saw the review and they're like, oh, I'm not going to buy that stick now. Thanks for letting us know about it. And some people are like, hey, I don't care. I only play on PC. This stick looks great and I'm going to buy it anyways. All good. Don't attack people for that. That's not cool. Everyone has their own design choices. If you know me, I like very simple, plain, easy to work in cases. So that design aesthetic is not for me. And I even covered that in the video. But if you like it, that's good for you. So I think that there is some interesting things going on right now in response to that. Some people have, in my opinion, looked at my video as a way for me to sell my own fight sticks, which, okay, maybe. But I think that it's mostly focused on the stick itself and a note about, hey, in today's fight stick community, in the fight stick market, there's a lot of options out there, both custom and commercial, that you can buy for the same price or less, that'll give you more. And I didn't actually call out any specific one. So, sure, call it what it is. We all make mistakes in the past. You know, not all of my fight sticks have been super clean or, super appealing to everyone, and that's okay. I know what my market is, and I like to try and cater to my market. I don't think that Madcatz knows what their market is, though. And I think they missed a huge opportunity with this, because what we're seeing right now is kind of a shift, if you will, in where people need or want compatibility with their fight sticks. And I say that a little kind of tongue-in-cheek because there's a huge push to move majors and even some of the locals towards the PC scene, which is great. In my opinion, it's great. I have a really cool computer. It's very capable. I can run these games really well. You don't need a lot of crazy hardware to make them run well either, so you don't have to go extreme like I do, or some of the folks do. And Madcatz could have used that as an opportunity to be like, hey, we're building a PC-only stick intentionally for PC fighting game tournaments. They could have been very open, clear, and upfront about that and not tried to kludge in, a lot of extra capabilities by plugging in controllers to do, I don't have any of them mine here, added on support. They could have marketed it that way, and it would have been very different. They could have also made the price a lot cheaper. I don't know where the value and the cost of that whole thing comes from, to be honest with you. It is an injection molded case. There are sandwall buttons in it. They're not that expensive, especially when you're buying them at scale like they probably are. Same thing with the lever and the ball top, etc. So it's kind of obvious to me that they are just trying to cash in on the TE name, like a lot of people have suggested, and that premium feel and brand from Madcatz of old, without really doing anything to earn it. And that's actually something that I've learned in my marketing classes as I went through my MBA and finished that up, is it's easy to buy brands to get their loyalty, their name, etc., because there's a lot of value in that. But what you have to do is you have to build upon it. You can't just absorb a brand and say, cool, I've got the name, and now I'm going to make whatever I want with that name on it, and people are just going to accept it. It doesn't work that way. Hey, everybody. I see all the chats going. Welcome to the stream. Appreciate it. So, in any case, I think they really missed the mark on this, and you could overlook a lot of what I would perceive as flaws in the stick if they had marketed it different, like I previously said. But when you couple it with the premium price point and whatnot, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So, in any case, what are we here for? They blocked me on Twitter, thanks to probably me running my mouth a little bit, which is fine. I can't bring it all up because I didn't really prepare for this, and I have some stuff up on my computer that I can't share, like taxes and stuff. So I'm not trying to hide anything. But there was a person on Twitter who got one, and they were super excited about it. And if they're excited about it, that's great. That's for them to be excited about, even if we may or may not agree with it. And someone's like, yeah, but you should watch this video. It's very laggy. You can't do a lot of things with it. And they linked my video, and the person kind of got defensive, and it went back and forth, and I was like, well, hey, I don't think you're going to be able to do what you want because, I couldn't get the buttons to screw in. So you may want to really, really look at that. And he was like, oh yeah, well, what about this? And he shows me his Madcatz T3 opened with what appears to be a crown button installed, and the nut was kind of backwards. If you notice on the crown retaining nuts, there's one side that has little dimples on it and one side that's flat. And he had the dimple sides facing down. And to the best of my knowledge, the dimples should face up because that's what helps provide more friction between the nut and the panel or whatever it's attaching to. And it was it wasn't fully seated, if you will. So it was very clear that it was just kind of holding on by one or two threads. And I kind of pointed that out. And then, of course, it's Twitter, so it devolves into craziness. But interestingly, Madcatz posted up a GIF response where it was like, yo, they just owned me. And I said, I don't think that's an own like you think it is, because didn't you just delete your announcement tweet for the TE3 because you got ratioed hard? And then blocked. So that's why I got blocked. And I find it very funny because, maybe there could be perceived bias in it, but I try to root my criticisms in something scientific or something that is very observable. And I think I managed to do that in both the response to this person on Twitter and to Madcatz themselves. There was some more discourse, if you will. We got called fuckwit, cunt, fucktard, all the good Call of Duty lobby names that you could think of via Twitter, which is what you would expect these days. And it was just like, all right, dude, whatever. But so that's where we're at with that, and it's very strange. Interestingly, Madcatz is sending the guy who was singing their praises some free gear, so yeah, that's happening. And I think what they're trying to do, if I had to really kind of quantify this into something that marketing people would expect, is there's this thing called user-generated content. And all of us who sell things in the community, both retro gaming, modern gaming, fight sticks, arcades, whatever, user-created content is super, super important. Because if I tell you, hey, of course, I packed them all up. Hey, buy this widget that I made. It's the best widget you're ever going to have. It does this, 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 and this. And you're like, all right, cool, but you're trying to sell this to me, so I got to kind of take that with a grain of salt. But if I give that widget to, let's say, Spencer or John or, insert random person's name here, and I say, hey, I want you to take a look at this widget and post up and let me know what you think. Or maybe those same people buy one of my fight sticks and they build it and they post up a picture of it on Twitter or Facebook or on /r/fightsticks or, wherever. And they're like, hey, check out my new Panzer fight stick. This thing is awesome. Or check out this new widget. This thing's awesome. It does this, this, or this. Or, hey, I didn't really like this, X, Y, or Z. It doesn't matter what kind of engagement, it's still engagement. And that user-generated content, things that people are putting out there on their own accord without me asking them or these other companies asking them, just helps build up the brand identity and helps kind of make what I'm saying as that company trying to sell it more truthful or more believable. So Madcatz, they're seeing all these positive reviews and they're like, oh, cool, let's just retweet this, let's retweet this. Or they're seeing the people who are very brand loyal, which I'm not a big fan of in general in anything. And they're saying, cool, hey, thanks for the cool review. Let me send you something free. Because then the person getting it, they're like, oh, cool, I said something nice, and they're sending me something free. So maybe they're going to overlook maybe some of the nuances or some of the weirdness with whatever they bought, right? So, yeah, I think they saw that. And then when they see that my video and people replying to other people with my video or saying, hey, Jason said this, or this person got it and they said this, and they're like, oh, no, this is negative. I don't want to see that. So they'll block it so that way we can't see retweets of it or we can't see their responses, etc. And, ultimately, I think that's even worse because now we're having a stream right now talking about it. And I've got maybe 100 replies or 100 tweets, I don't know, Twitter things responding to my hey, I got blocked by Madcatz tweet. And it's just kind of going over and over and over and making it bigger. So now Madcatz looks even sillier, right? So, yeah, that's where we're at right now. And that's kind of the situation. I will tell you an interesting story, though. And this kind of goes back to some of the other things that I've done in the past. So I have a number of, I think I've got like 6 or 7 breaking down the stick videos. And I only got to that many because about 5 years ago I moved here to Japan. And you can see, this is my whole office here. Right over here I've got a laser. Right over here is a wall. Back there's an arcade cabinet. I've got maybe like 6 or 7 feet of free space. So me trying to do videos is actually very difficult. And I shot that TE3 one in my living room on a day that my wife was out of the house, which is why you see my cat and the dog in the back, because they're just chilling back there and they're like, we ain't moving. This is our house too. So in any case, I haven't done any for a while. But the first few that I did were for Quamba sticks. Quamba actually sent me the drone. They sent me the carbon and they sent me the crystal. And I think, I kind of did the drone a little dirty because there was a lot of things I didn't like about it. I actually really like the carbon, and I actually really like the crystal too, but they all had their little nuances, and I thought I was pretty honest about it. And when the obsidian came out and the dragon? No, was it the dragon? Whatever their big one was. I said, hey, would you guys mind sending me those for review too? And they actually, no, we're not sending you anything else. We thought your reviews were too negative. They were unfair. And why we don't want to associate with that. I was like, okay, that's fine. And then I did a Hori one, and I like the HRAP-N. I think it's a great stick. And I did a review on that. So those were kind of like my first ones. And I moved here and I couldn't do them anymore. I think I actually did one on the Victrix, but I could have probably done that one a little bit better too. In any case, so this was like my first one back. And I was like, hey, this is going to be an expensive fight stick. Madcatz is trying to rebuild their brand, and they're trying to come back out and get back into the market and get people sticks and stuff. I was like, maybe they'd be willing to send me one for review. I didn't want to mess with the ego or any of that stuff because I have the GameServe version. I never even opened it. I was like, I'm not going to worry about this. And so I just kind of wrote them off, and then they came out with the TE3. They're like, oh, this would be great. And I saw a lot of people saying stuff about it a few months ago, and so I reached out to them. And this is actually my Twitter DMs, and I really wish I could share the screen with you guys, but you need to just at least trust me on this, that I'm reading off my screen. So I reached out to them on January 16th, 2023. I was actually down visiting Hiroshima at the time. And I said, hey, I'd like to discuss doing a Breaking Down the Stick episode of the TE3 on my YouTube channel. I've done this for a few Hori sticks and Quamba in the past with great results. Can you link me up with the new Madcatz PR team? And they said, hi, Jason, please send along your socials and we'll look into it. Thank you so much. And so I sent them hey, it's at Jason's Customs or at Jason Hicks. And then I sent them a link to the one of the highest number of views videos, the Hori Rap-N. And I said, hey, all my Breaking Down the Stick videos have over 20,000 views. I said, I'm going to do a video regardless of Madcatz's support, but wanted to give you an opportunity to participate. And I said, in parentheses, a non-influenced participation, of course. And then I sent them a link to my website. And I said, plus, I've been supporting Madcatz sticks with parts to update them and modify them in my shop with my website link for about 7 years. And they said, hey, I appreciate that. I'm going to be straight with you. The TE3 samples are quite difficult to get approved for reviews as they're very expensive to ship and are a higher ticket item. Harder, but not impossible. I'd need some time to get one reserved for you and approved. I'm not sure that can be done until about March? Question mark. Around there. I'll also have to do a deep dive into your review videos, etc. And then a few minutes later, I like the quality of your videos, by the way, very professional. And then that was all still on the, still on the January 16th. And then a little bit of time later passes, and she says, or they said rather, perhaps we can have a chat on Discord to discuss more. You're in Japan? And I said, I'll just pick one up and do a review on it from a local vendor here in Japan. I have a video sponsor lined up that wants to get this done soon, and a lot of folks have asked me to do an unbiased and in-depth review. I appreciate the discussion. If you have anything for panel anything for panel measurements and such, you can share so I can support these with custom parts. I would be grateful. Otherwise, I'll just have to reverse engineer them like the others I support. And so that was at like 5:30, and about 10 minutes later. Any chance we can have a quick chat this week to discuss further? Are you willing to do a sponsored video? And I said, I'm open to sponsored videos, but they can't be influenced at all. And then they responded about 20 minutes later, I see. Well, let's set up a time to talk if you can this week. And I said, I'm open all week after 1600 Japan time. And that was on January 16th at 7:30 p.m. And that's the last I heard from them. So I suspect what they did is they went and saw my other videos, and they're like, oh man, if we send this guy our stick, he's going to tear it apart, and he may or may not have some nice things to say about it, which, as we now know, was true. An interesting side note about the video sponsor, that ended up being a scam, and fortunately, when I told them, yeah, I'd be interested in doing it, send me some information. They sent me some information that was like in a weird zip file. And I was like, nope, deleted. So that turned out not to be accurate in the long run. But at the same time, I didn't use the sponsor in the video anyway, so it doesn't matter. I paid for that stick out of pocket, and it was like 39,000 yen, which is just about $305 right now. And I put up a video about a week after I got it. So I think they kind of knew, based on my other videos where I didn't really hold back, and what they would perceive or what they were going to give me was probably not going to be well received, and they weren't going to be able to buy a good review from me based on the things that I went back with in our chats. So that's kind of where we're at. Yeah, the Linus scam. It may have been similar. I don't know. I didn't even open the zip file or click any of the links, because as soon as they came up, I was like, no. I don't need to be an IT genius to do this. And I don't let anyone use my computer except for myself. Even when I see my wife in here trying to use it, I'm like, get out, you have your own. If she messes hers up, I don't care. Oh, excuse me. So, yeah, that's kind of the whole story in a nutshell. And it seems that I've saved at least a dozen people from buying the Madcatz 3 because it wouldn't have lived up to the expectations they have. And I think that's a plus. So I think at this point, I see a lot of chat going. I'll open up to any questions, and hopefully I can answer them. I'll stick around for as long as I can. It is 5:30, so at some point I'm probably going to have to go get some dinner. And I apologize in advance if I sound weird or any nasally or something like that. I had surgery on my nose yesterday, and the doctor broke some bones in it. You can't tell because they're all internal bones, but I will tell you it hurt like a mofo. And now I'm all stopped up. Yeah, the T3 pretty much a doorstop. Yeah, that's true. Actually, I grabbed one of my Hako air station, or I have a Hako hot air gun, and I picked it up and was like, hey, this looks familiar. And I posted it up in my Discord and I said, hey, Hako and I are going to do a fight stick. Yeah, doorstop you can play Street Fighter with, only on PC. Yeah, everything is going great. Just some updates for me. I leave Japan April 15th, and I'm both excited to go home, and I'm also kind of sad to leave Japan. I've been here for 5 years, and I've really enjoyed it. I want to thank Japan for helping me gain like 1 million pounds because the food is so good. And I want to thank COVID for keeping me here for an extra 2 years, which kind of was a welcome and surprising change. Am I going to review the Quamba drone? So I do want to review all of Quamba's new sticks coming out. I also want to do some reviews of all the Hori stuff as well. But it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? I don't want to use my reviews as a way to like get like funds for all this stuff and beg Quamba and whatnot to like send me free stuff, because then I don't want them to think that hey, they can influence any of my videos. So I got to figure out a way to help kind of get the community involved there, because now that I'm no longer going to be active duty military and I have a different job that it pays well, don't get me wrong, it's a pretty significant money investment to be able to do a bunch of reviews kind of on my own. So I got to think of the right way to do that, whether it's a buy me a coffee like page, or like something that you can like donate to, or something along those lines. But if I do something like that, then what I probably will do is I'll do the review, break it all down, and then give the sticks away through like the Patreon or buy me a coffee crew or whomever, or however I figure out ways to fund these things, because I don't necessarily need 1,000 fight sticks at my house. I've been there. So yeah, am I gonna do things like the Quamba, the Q8, the Obsidian 2, the drone? Yeah, I'd like to do all of that stuff. If I'm at reviews of like snack boxes and stuff like that, I don't know. So those are difficult, right? Because I'm not a hitbox player, and two, they are really not designed. They don't lend themselves well to mod review videos, right? And I say that because you can change the switches out, and you can change the button caps out, and you can put art in them, and they're specifically designed to only do those mods just because of the integration of everything. And it's great, but again, I'm not a hitbox player, so me playing on it, it's not going to work out well. I've got pretty big hands, so, well, I think I have big hands. Playing on a little tiny stick like that, it wouldn't be very comfortable, so I think that would influence it and make it probably a negative review when it doesn't need to be a negative review. So that one's hard. We all know that which of those arcade sticks are worth buying. Well, I'll tell you, I haven't gotten my hands on any of them yet, so I can't say. But if I think a stick is good, I will tell you. If I think a stick is bad, I will also tell you. So as soon as I can get my hands on some Quamba ones when I'm back in the States, I'll do reviews of all those. So please just kind of wait. Yeah. For all the fight stick companies right now, who do I think manufactures the best one? So that's a difficult answer, because I think they all have merits, right? Like the Obsidian actually ended up being a pretty good stick, and there were some shortcomings in there, right? You couldn't use, I think you can't use screw-in buttons because some of the buttons are too close to where the PCB areas are. And I don't think I did a breakdown of that stick, so I'm just kind of remembering things that I remember looking at it when I was designing the easy mod for it. I think they all use a lot of plastic. You know how I feel about plastic. I think the Obsidian probably still uses like the aluminum side, so that's cool. And I think, Hori's designs are always pretty like low key, pretty straightforward. Hori's usually made some pretty good stuff. Although I'll tell you, I think some of the lag on their sticks has been kind of low, and I think they've corrected some of that. So I'd have to take a look into that more. But yeah, it's hard to say. I don't want to make a recommendation based on just what I've seen on the computer, because it's very easy to make things look really good on the computer, and then you get them and you're like, this isn't so great. Yeah. I will tell you, I've kind of come around a little bit on the build quality of the Victrix. I didn't do any lag tests on the Victrix, but I do like that it's a full metal shell, even if it's like kind of a sleeve over a bunch of plastic internals. And I think that if I did some lag testing on it and it had maybe that sub 1 millisecond lag, that would probably make it a good buy. But again, it's been a long time. I think the fact that, if I remember correctly, with the Victrix, you could only fit JLFs in it. It had some issues trying to fit other levers in it, and the fact that you can't, you're always going to be stuck with a Vuelix layout because it's not an interchangeable panel. That kind of stinks. But I know why they did that. It makes a lot of sense because they were going for hey, I don't necessarily want to modify my stick. I just want it to unplug and work, right? And I want it to look nice. And they can control the way it looks by not letting you change parts out. So that makes I understand that a little bit better now. Let's see. I own the Victrix Pro 2, and that stick makes me feel like a billionaire. Everything I use it is because it's S. Okay. Yeah, 3 a.m. for you, but for me, it's 5:45 at night. Yeah. Let's see. Some of us, we don't see just a brand. Yep, that's good. And I appreciate the compliments in the videos. I definitely do want to do more. And the good thing is, I did buy a house. Well, I'm in the process of buying a house, and it's got a huge basement, which is where I'm going to set up my office and all of my stuff. And I should have a dedicated filming area that I can just leave all my stuff up all the time, so I can kind of pump out videos a lot easier. One of the big detractors to making these videos is it takes a lot of setup. I posted a couple pictures of like all my camera gear that I've remembered I had as I was getting things ready for moving. And I have a lot of stuff, but when you set it all up and have to break it all down, because if you don't, you have no room to actually live in your house, it becomes I don't really want to do this right now thing. Out of everything else, do I really want to do this? Nah, I don't know. So, yeah. But when I get back to the States and I have my basement, it'll be game over, or game on, rather. So, yeah, I'm going back to Virginia, actually, just right outside of Washington, D.C. I'm actually looking very, very much forward to it. I did a couple years ago, 8 years ago, I lived there when I was stationed at the Pentagon, and I really loved the area. I met a bunch of cool people from the arcade community and the fighting game community out there, and I'm looking forward to going back. More streams. Well, again, when I have everything set up all the time, maybe I can do more streams. I have found that no one wants to watch me play games because I am freaking terrible, and that's okay. I know my limitations. And it's harder to do streams when you do breakdowns because, my head gets in the way with the overhead cam, and I haven't become very good at self-aware cameras, or self-aware, or aware of where the cameras are. So I got to work on that. But I definitely have all the good equipment now. I second the more streams. All right, we'll see. We'll try and get it set up. So I'm leaving Japan April 15th, and then I got to spend about 2 weeks in Bangor, Washington, to do all my final paperwork. After 20 years in the Navy, you have a lot of paperwork to do to get out, so that's pretty good. And then I'm driving across country, and I should be back in the D.C. area on around May 5th or 6th, and then I got to wait for all my stuff to show up. So that's that'll be fun. I got to get all that set up, and I'm going to do a little bit of renovation in my basement because there's a lot of free space down there that's not being used properly, and I want to use it properly. So it should be a bunch of good projects, and it should be pretty fun. So, yeah. And YouTube was never like a big end goal for me. I just kind of did it on the side for fun, and I thought these breaking down episode or videos were kind of a neat idea because I enjoy the technical aspect of gaming, like how things work, and I know about this much in electrical engineering from my time being a nuke in the Navy, but I know it goes like way out to here, and there's a lot of stuff out there that I still want to learn. Will I open my shop up against once I'm all settled? Well, my shop is already open, and the Panzer Fight Stick 4 is available for order. Don't mind this. This is my very first prototype of the Panzer 4. You can tell it's the prototype because I got a sharp edge here. I forgot to round it out. And this was my cardboard my cardboard cutout Shiokan star layout that I did on my laser over there just to make sure that everything fit, my drawings were right. I should like give this away or something when I get home, or maybe I'll build it out and put it on my shelf as like a moment or a trophy of like, hey, where I was. I didn't do that with any of my other Panzers. I don't have any of the prototypes because I got crazy and got rid of them. So, but yeah, so more of that maybe. Hey, thanks Steel Yang for joining in, and Father X Oasis. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Hooyah. You were in the Corps. All right. My ass rides in Navy equipment. Got it. Gotcha. All right. So yeah, I think there's some good stuff coming ahead. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And as far as like adding more things to the store, I'm probably, let's see, I will be adding. Well, I have integrated Pico fighting boards. I really love those things. I will add more aluminum parts over time in different colors, including some shafts and dust washers. Let's see. And I'll do that because I made them for a company here in Japan. Sengoku, they sell them. So I'll bring those to my shop. I don't know that I'm going to get back into selling the Brook boards or buttons and stuff. From a business perspective, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to sell them. From a convenience perspective for you, if you're buying a Panzer or buying any of my replacement panels, it makes a lot more sense for you just to buy from one place because it's easier. But I kind of have to think about that. I did it in the past for convenience of everybody, and right now there are so many places that you can buy arcade parts, and everyone is just sniping the prices down. At some point, it becomes a losing business venture, and I don't want to get into a losing business venture. So we'll see. If the opportunity presents itself and it makes business sense, I'll probably add buttons and levers and stuff again. But for now, maybe not. Yeah. And as far as like recommending parts places to everyone, I'm not. I don't make any recommendations on that stuff. There's a lot of reasons for it. But there's plenty of people both on the East Coast, the West Coast, and the Midwest that you can kind of pick the one that's closest to you to get your parts fastest and go for there. Am I an automotive enthusiast? Yes, I love cars. So I shipped my 1994 Suzuki Jimny back to the States. It's a Japanese K-truck. It's a Suzuki Samurai for those in the U.S. from the late 80s, early 90s. But mine is a K-truck, which means it's got a small 3-cylinder 660cc engine with a turbo on it. It's manual, and it's 4x4 with a locking diff, manual locking diff. So that's awesome. And I've basically torn that whole thing apart on the inside, upgrading and doing some things. Like I replaced the turbo and the downpipe, the exhaust manifold, the valve cover. What else did I do? All the spark plugs, wires, obviously oil change. Did a new blow-off valve, did a new air intake. I replaced all of the springs. It's got leaf springs all the way around. I put KC off-road lights on it on the front bumper, replaced the front bumper. I put Brid seats in it, which is pretty cool. Tinted the windows. I paid someone to do that because I don't do tint. Let's see, what else did I do? New stereo, so I could have Apple CarPlay in it, and I think that's about it. But I also have a whole bunch of parts in the garage that I'm bringing back to the States with me to just keep it up. And my friend and I were actually building a little digital screen that has like oil pressure, temperature, and boost on it, and we're powering it with a Raspberry Pi Pico. And he did one for his RX-7. He's got a JDM FD here. And he did it on his. I'm like, hey, that's cool. We should do one for mine. And we've designed something so it integrates right into the dash and to replace one of the coin holders. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. And then I also have a 370Z that I'm picking up from my mother-in-law. She bought it new. Hey, Nihongo Gamer. Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, so yeah. So my 370Z, my mother-in-law bought it brand new, 2010, and she lives in Bremerton, Washington. She's driven it like 9,000 miles since she's owned it. And so I'm taking that over from her when I move back to the States. I'll be putting some very basic things in it, new brakes and some new air intake stuff. But yeah. So I'm excited. And I'm actually driving that one across country because I'm an idiot. Let's see. Am I ever going to plan on doing a thinner version of the Panzer Fight Stick? Well, I mean, this one's 2 inches. This is the Panzer Fight Stick 4. I don't know that it can get much thinner than this if you want to fit a Japanese lever in it. Let's see. So, someone asked if I was willing or I was thinking about doing like a one of those slab style hitboxes, and I was working on one, and I started working on it in I don't know, like November of 2021 maybe, and I kind of twiddled with it on and off and kind of didn't really care about it too much, and then the Impress came out, or maybe it came out beforehand. I don't remember. Then the snack box came out, and then the key fighters out, and there's a million of those things out now, right? So I kind of lost interest in finishing that design, and those are too small for me. So like, if I'm going to make something, I want to make sure it's something that I would use and I would like to. But what I did do is I've come up with this. And apparently I lost a keycap, but it's a good show of what it is. This is a replacement panel for the Panzer Fight Stick 4, and you can see it's an all-button layout, and it uses Cherry MX switches, and this will just drop into a Panzer, and you can use this. On the back, you can see kind of how I've designed it. I've got a metal support plate here. All the buttons, the MX switches are hot swap into this PCB. And then it's hard to tell, but maybe you guys can see it. In here, there's a key plate, a stabilizer plate. So all of these keys, or these switches, actually lock in, so they're completely stable. So I probably don't need this back metal plate, but I'm going to keep it because if you know me, I over-engineer everything. But this right here will be an option coming soon. It's not going to be super cheap because there's just a lot of parts on this, and the mounting plate that's not here, that is here, but it's hard to see on the inside here, maybe right there. It's actually machined out of one piece of aluminum, and that's to get all of the heights just right for the Cherry MX specifications. When it's all done, I think that these will end up being a little bit closer to the panel itself. Right now, it's kind of like super high, and I don't like it. Even with the Plexion, it's a little too much. So the next version has all of this mount down here coming down about 1/4 of an inch, and I think that'll put it at like the perfect height when Plexi's installed. So that's coming out. This is actually kind of something that adapted my micro box into based on some conversations with Sheldon, and he's Sheldon Twitching on Twitch. Huge hitbox player and coach. So that's kind of where I'm going with it. Yeah. It's raining outside now, so my dog is freaking out. That's my Shiba Emmy in the back. These button caps, they're not, I don't know if they're custom, but I got them from Punk Workshop or something on AliExpress. I think you guys know who that is. Punk Workshop, I think, does it, and some company, maybe their parent company on AliExpress does it. They're okay. Some of the edges are a little rough from the injection molding. I don't have a lot of experience in injection molding, so I can't say if this is preventable or maybe it's just a bad mold. I'm not sure. But when I sell these panels, they're going to not come with they're not going to come with switches, and they're not going to come with caps so that you can pick them up on your own. But there are also a lot of 3D printable ones out there as well that you can do. I may investigate maybe some aluminum ones because I think they're small enough and I can hollow them out enough where it'll be thin and light, and it won't necessarily feel bad on your fingers. So we'll see. I don't know. something fun to try. I've got a really, really good team that helps me with all my aluminum stuff, with my CNC aluminum stuff. They're awesome. I should create an experimental premium line called Over Engineering. I think that's just called the Panzer Fight Stick. It's always over engineered. But I will be adapting this concept here with the stabilizer plate to a Mixbox WASD type setup. I just got to think of how I want to do it properly. I'm thinking if I could... I have to think on it because I'm not sure how I want to do it, to be honest with you. Because I kind of like the idea of how... that layer shift adapter that just kind of fits through a JLF hole. I mean, you can kind of twist it whatever way you want and get like the perfect angle for you. Does it. And I think that Arcade Stick Indonesia, he has one that has like a rotating kind of assembly inside too. I think that's pretty cool. And I would like to do something similar like that on mine if I can, so that gives everyone options. I think I could do it. As I'm kind of thinking through in my head, actually it'd probably be pretty easy. Yeah, we could probably make that work. I've got ideas now. So, anyways, yeah, cool. Hey, Nihongo Gamer, thanks for joining me. I'll catch you later. I should have sent you a Panzer Fight Stick 4. I like your reviews, by the way. I'm also a big fan. And we should have linked up before I left Japan. I think you're pretty close to me, actually. All right, let's see. Any other last-minute questions here before we call it a wrap-up? Probably not. It's getting late, getting early. It's still early in the States, and it's getting to be dinner time here in Asia. So, it's all good. All good. Anyways, all right. Well, I think we'll call that a night on the stream or a morning on the stream. I thought this was valuable time spent talking about, why Madcatz blocked me and kind of my thoughts on that whole situation. So I can assure you, in the future, no sponsored videos from stick makers, honest reviews always. And if I get something wrong, hopefully you guys tell me in the videos, in the comments, and I can go re-examine it, because I'm not above doing a follow-up video if I miss something, because it can happen. So in any case, I appreciate you guys joining me today. I hope everything was informative and somewhat entertaining. Yes, plexis are still good to order. Plexis, panels, etc., all good to go. That's already all consolidated back in the U.S. and getting things squared. As far as my aluminum machine parts, the integrated Pico fighting boards, those are kind of the only two things on hold right now. There's a big disclaimer on each product that has a hold, and that's just because I've already mailed them back to the States, or they're coming with me in my suitcase. Like the last few of my integrated Pico fighting boards are in my suitcase, and they're going to fly over with me. So, yeah. But, yeah. Anyways, thank you for all the kind comments. Thank you for all the safe travel wishes. Everyone go, get some rest. And I will talk to you guys later. Again, this is probably my last stream until I get back stateside. But I appreciate the support and everything. You guys are awesome. Peace.